we Asians don't say no very well. What is it that you are about? What's your, why did God bring you here? What's the purpose and what value can I give to the world?
Some entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs and very successful because they're coming from a place of pain.
Yeah, we are driven by our own purpose. We're not doing it just for ourselves. We're not doing it for the money. People say, well, you're just chasing the money. Well, it's not about the money.
The great Benjamin Franklin once said, either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. We have an inventor here today, and he's going to tell us all about his journey and where he's got his fingers in every single pie. I want to welcome Asssim.
Delighted to be here, Sean. What a pleasure.
Nice to see you, bro.
I'm honored to be here because the roster of people that have been here before me, and I'm just a minion. So I'm honored. Thank you.
No way. Do you know what? There's some people who are famous on camera and have an online audience and presence.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people who are off camera who are plowing away and some really big people. And I'm honored to have you, and hopefully all of our audience are here and tuned in because I believe the value that you can bring is priceless,
Oh my God, I'm flattered.
So, so you traveled all the way from Nottingham today, yeah?
All the way from Nottingham to be here for you, Sean.
Wow, look at
all
that.
the way for you. I mean, I wouldn't do it for anybody. I didn't make it for the coronation, but for you, I'm here.
Wow, look at that. What a guy, what a man. So is that where it all started?
Yeah, that's where I was born.
You've always been based down there, yeah?
And I went to university in Wales, but came back to Nottingham.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is Nottingham just home now for you?
It is home. That's where my family is. But I tend to work all over the place. We travel by Zoom all over the world. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
So I gave the audience a little insight in some of the, you're an inventor, but just name a few of the things that you've done, doing.
Yeah, well, from where I am now, I am an inventor. I have two patents to my name, and I haven't met many other Asian inventors, but there are loads of Asian inventors around. And when I introduce myself as an inventor, people say, "Wow, you're an inventor," and I feel that, yeah, I'm an inventor. I didn't plan to become an inventor, but that's the way that's the path life took me on. So I invented two things. One's a toy, and we'll talk about that, and one's an insulation system. The insulation system, I created it to help make a difference in the people that are suffering from fuel poverty. Those people live in old, cold homes where the heating costs are high, and there are a lot of premature deaths because of that situation. So I created something that was just simpler, quicker, faster, and better. I took all the complexity in the current product and pushed it in the factory and made something much better. I raised £1 million for it. I got a letter of intent from Eon for the first £14 million worth of product. Wow. Now, that's not a contract, but when you get a letter of intent from a company like Eon, you take it very seriously.
You have something.
Yeah, you have something. And, we took it forward. We created this idea, or my idea. We took it to product, fire tested it. It was fire tested.
Very important.
Very, very important. In the light of Grenfell, which I've been to see. And it all works. It's on a house in Nottingham, but then the manufacturer pulled away. So it caused all sorts of problems. But whilst I was doing that, I was watching my children play with these little beads, and they were frustrating. So I actually came up with something better. And it was just mulling in my head for months, about 9 months, the time it takes to have a baby.
Yeah.
And then I was in a seminar one day, and I was bored. I was going to leave, but I got my notepad. I just started doodling it, and it looked really good. And I thought, this is interesting. And because I was working on my other insulation system, and we were looking at manufacturing and all that sort of stuff, I thought this is doable. So yeah, I did. But before that, I've worked for billionaire property managers, bought energy, did sustainability, worked for them, worked for government. I raised €250 million for other people's projects.
Wow.
But you know what? They didn't progress. And I don't want anybody thinking, I'm a super success. I'm willing to talk about my failure.
Yes.
That's probably what's unique about me.
Mm.
I'm willing to talk about that. I'm willing to put it out on the line and say, I did this. I raised lots of money for other people, but the projects didn't succeed because there was a fault with the project. There was an issue. Somebody's mind got worried that they were going to get taken over. I have a degree in accounting and finance. I'm dyslexic. So yeah, here I am. That's a potted history.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I want to ask, how do you know after all of these failures and pluses and minuses, how do you know who to work with, who has intent, who actually wants to put,
Yeah.
the pen to paper?
Yeah, I am naturally optimistic. I'm naturally trusting, and that's been my failing. So now what I do is I'm still naturally trusting and optimistic, but I won't go all in. You know, if I meet somebody who's interested in working with me, I'll open the door, but I won't go all in. I won't do all the work for free. I won't put all my money in. I'll wait for them to do something, and I'll put barriers up for them to jump over. And if they don't put those, they don't jump over or they don't put their contribution in, then that for me is a sign of like you're not the right person to work with.
So when you're working with somebody, what you're saying is they've got to have some skin in the game also. They've got to be they've got to have something at stake, not
Yeah,
just talking and blabbing an idea out.
absolutely. And I want them to put in as much as me. And if they don't put in as much as me, then I'm happy to let it peter out. The thing about I learned this from a friend of mine. We Asians don't say no very well. What we do is we say yes slowly, and it's a characteristic of being the people we are. So I'm much the same, but I used to go all in. If somebody would say, what can you raise 1 million or 10 million for this project, I do all the work. But then they might change their mind. I'm thinking, why did I do all the work? I'm not. I never do that. Again, as a coach, because I now coach entrepreneurs. I teach them to be wary of people. I teach them how not to take too many risks, but take a really, really good risk that I know and they know they can be successful in.
You said quite a few things there, and I can resonate with a lot of it
Go
because
on.
sometimes, yeah, you've got this bundle of knowledge, and you've got someone asking for help, or someone wanting to execute something,
Yeah.
and all you want to do is just like you work with your own mindset, thinking that this person's also working with the same mindset, and say, yeah, let's go,
Yeah.
right, all right, so do this, and let's go for it.
And you're probably like you're halfway down the street before they even like.
And they're not even out the blocks, and
Yeah.
then they're going, well, hang on, let's pull back a little bit. We'll discuss it in another meeting,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it feels like you're more vested than the other person. Do you know what I
Completely.
mean? And it does get a little bit disappointing and disheartening. um why do people work at different paces, do you think?
You know what? Look, we are entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. You're a very successful young entrepreneur, and you're just at the beginning. You're just at the beginning. Whatever you've achieved, you've got like bundles more ahead of you.
Hopefully.
Definitely. And you know what? When people see people like us, they see what, the aura that we create around ourselves, this energy that we have, it's infectious. People want to spend time with us. And they often see that we can deliver something that they can't necessarily do themselves. So without being egotistical,
Yeah.
we have something that's attractive. And people kind of they want more from us and they think we're the answer to their problems.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the problem for us because we're not the answer to your problems. We're part of your solution.
Yeah.
And we have to be very, very careful with our time and not get carried away with our own emotions because you are an incredibly motivated person and optimistic. And you have to be that way because of all the rubbish you have to get through in life. To make, for you to turn X thousands of pounds, the amount of work you've got to do, it's hard, it's tough, but you've got so much energy about you that you will get through that and you'll push through that. And that means you ignore the finer detail. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all to do with the mindset that was created at a very young age.
Yeah.
Because we do think effortlessly. I was looking at a deal this morning, 1.2 million, and just rang two people just to make sure legal was all in place,
Yeah.
finance was all sorted, it was no barriers. So now I can just go back to the main person and say, I'm ready for that. But maybe at 1.1, because I know I can execute this deal.
Definitely.
If he wants the deal, let's go with it. But it seems quite
It
effortlessly.
is, but for you to be able to do that, I mean, that's 10 years worth of work.
Yeah.
To be able to just make a few phone calls for that person on the other side to say, it's Sean. I trust this guy. I know what he's doing. I know what he's at. And he'll deliver. So if I say yes, he's going to deliver. Whereas if I did that from a newbie, I've got a relationship to build. I've got a track record to build. See, we are craftsmen in the art of entrepreneurship.
So someone who's not at this stage in their life, what advice do you give to them?
You know what I often say to one of my coaching clients is, we've got loads of things on ahead of them, and they don't want to do anything. I say, just go get burnt. And I say, pick one thing. Go break something. Go mess up. Go screw up. Intentionally go and screw up. Because until you've screwed up, it ain't going to happen. Now, look, you can read about the most successful entrepreneurs in the world and how wonderful they are. None of them, not one of them's got there without a screw up along their life. So when I'm meeting a new entrepreneur and they're worried, they're fearful, I'm sorry, the only way you're going to get through that is just to go and get burned. I learned a therapeutic modality called thought field therapy, right? So I can tap the fear out of somebody in 5 seconds. It's really simple because I've trained to do it. But sometimes people just need to break through those fears. They need to break something.
It's another thing, like sometimes people don't have the why or that push or that strength to do something either, and they fail to find that motivation. And some entrepreneurs become entrepreneurs and very successful because they're coming from a place of pain.
Yeah.
And that pain drives it into something different. Just like you break up in a relationship, and then your whole world caves upside down, and the only thing you know how to do is push through the pain by going to the gym, for example. And then some of the biggest, strongest bodybuilders.
That's why you got those shoulders, right? I mean, look at those shoulders. I mean, the viewer can't see the shoulders. Those shoulders are big, and he's worked out there to get those shoulders.
Yeah, a few push-ups only.
Oh my god, a few push-ups, yeah.
Yeah. So what you're seeing is a few heartbreaks, yeah.
Look, we haven't touched. This is not a marriage guidance, is it? For you, for sure. I mean, you're eligible bachelor. Are you a bachelor?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So he's not eligible.
No.
Your partner's
not on the market.
He's not on the market. He's a good guy. Leave him alone.
That's
all right.
But what we're saying, we see them type of men, and some of the biggest, strongest people I've been around is like, hey, my dad broke my mum's nose. Yeah. I don't ever want to be in a position where I couldn't protect my mum again, which is why I'm this 120 kilo person. But he's got that body because he felt that pain.
Yeah.
Some people have a lovely life, nice mum and dad, good education, go and get themselves a job and just get comfortable.
And we need those people.
Okay.
Sean, we need those people because not everybody should be an entrepreneur. You know, in our businesses, if all of the people we work with want to be entrepreneurs, we get nothing done. You know, because they're all fighting to get their slice.
Yes.
We need people that want to be great at doing the thing they love, and enjoy what they love.
What about when that person gets bored? So I have a friend of mine who's now similar age to me, 37. He's done his degree. He's worked in a certain field and moved around different boroughs in the same sort of craft.
Yeah.
And he's gone from being the guy to managing 5 guys to managing a team. But he's now saying, look, it's quite mediocre and it's getting boring, and he wants more from life now.
Yeah.
And he realized he has a lot of skills, but he hasn't got the confidence to push because he's had a good life. He's on a 60, 70,000 a year, good money, got wife, got family, everything's going cool. But he's now feeling, I want to be doing something. Life's getting a bit boring.
I wouldn't say it's confidence. what I would say, and I refer you to a Japanese philosophy called ikigai, which is the reason to get out of bed, your purpose in life. And what that person's missing is his reason to exist, his reason to jump out of bed, to run somewhere, because those things have been dealt with. But where is he investing to get better? What's his mission and purpose in life? What does he want to achieve that makes a difference? And for some people, they progress, and they progress well. And it's kind of like getting on a tube. Get on, you know, beginning of life, and you just take the journey. And most people just keep going. But there's a point in your life when you think, okay, everything's fine. Now I'm bored. I worked to get here, but what to do now? And I think those people need to look at, what they want to achieve for themselves. What is it that you are about? What's your, why did God bring you here? What's the purpose of what value can I give to the world? And if you don't do that, then you get to the age of 65 or something, you've got your pension, or 67 now. It might be 70 by the time, this old age pensioner watch this again after you watched it the first time in a couple of months or so. You really need to focus on what you're about.
Some people, like, I see certain people, and I'm not saying this is wrong, but they just want to go and run a marathon.
I love it.
They
Go
do
for it.
half a marathon, full marathon, but then they come back to that same place again after they've done it. It's not, they've got the training, the support,
Yeah.
the GoFundMe page, all of that kudos comes, and then you've done it, and there's a little medal on the mantelpiece. But I think that high also comes back to the low, and reality again is like, hey, hang on.
And they'll do another one.
Okay.
They'll do another one. They'll do another one because they enjoy that. That's their, the adulation they get from achieving that medal. I have a really good friend, and she regularly runs marathons, and it's a big part of her life. And she's got a collection of them, but she also supports others to do the same. She uses her journey to inspire others, and I think that's why it's very addictive for her in a very positive way. But if she wasn't supporting others, the love and support you get from being cheered on, being, yeah, you go for it, you can do it. The respect that you get for achieving that's dopamine hit. But there's also, there's a benefit of being healthy.
Yes.
But I think your question is, well, what else is there once you've done that once or twice?
Yes.
Yeah. No, what? I mean, I haven't run a marathon. I don't think I could, right, in my current state.
Do you think the new generation are doing enough to be successful, enough to be entrepreneurs and getting to that next level? Do you think they get enough, or do you think they're getting more softer? Do you think more mental health is coming about? What's your opinion on that?
I don't think anything's changed. I don't think anything's changed from when I was a kid. My parents were a kid. Did they say mental health? They didn't. They pushed through it. They fought through it, or they stepped aside. They became shy and introverted. They don't have the space to use electronics to converse. I think mental health is not a new issue. It's always been there. People have been, as long as we've been humans, we've had trauma, we've had fear, we've had anxiety.
Do you think people overuse that card now, though?
Yeah, I do. I do, but I'm not belittling it for anybody. I don't want to belittle anybody's anxiety, but I think people need to work harder to get themselves through it sometimes. I mean, my kids are, we love them and care for them. We support them. We wrap them in cotton wool. But I think it's all right for them to go out and do something themselves. My daughter, she's very shy. She lost her hearing at a young age. So she studied and lived at home, but she had to get a placement outside. and it was a big thing for her. So I went to see the flat. I went, to see the flats, and it was a big step. And she struggled, but you know what? She's flourished. She's become this lively chatterbox with a lovely personality, which we thought was never going to come out. So I think we have to allow young people to fail and to find their way forward. I mean, some will say houses are really expensive. How am I going to get on the house ladder?
Yeah.
But when I bought my first house, the houses were really expensive.
Yeah.
How am I going to get on the housing ladder?
Yeah.
Same thing. So,
what are the property prices in Nottingham?
Oh, they're peanuts. You can bag them up for a bag of chips. Seriously. No. Yeah. I mean, they're probably not as rich for you, though. The thing is, you won't get the yields out of them, Sean. But you could pay 150 upwards to multi-millions.
Sure. And is there any regeneration or development happening that we don't know about?
Nottingham's student city. I
Right.
mean, they are putting up student flats, like they should be putting up real homes.
What do you see in 5 to 7 years, Nottingham? Do you think it'll be on the map like Birmingham or London?
What the hell, man? It is on the map. You saying Nottingham's not on the map?
No, it's good. It's very good. It's very good. But I'm saying in terms of we're going to see sharp house prices increases in them sort of areas. In terms of London, last 10 years, we've seen things go from about 180, 200 to about 500,000, 600, so it's gone up three.
I hope we don't go that far. London is special. Birmingham is special. There are the cities that are commuter belts, but I think we need cities that are affordable.
Yes.
And if Nottingham is one of those, Nottingham, Leicester, you go to Leeds, you go to Sheffield. We need those main cities to be affordable, because not everybody can live and survive at the London rates of pay. But equally, I don't want to pay London prices.
Yeah.
I don't want to get a mortgage to get a bottle of water. I don't want to do that. I don't want to pay Switzerland prices. In Nottingham, and Switzerland's lovely. We need things we need a range, don't we? I mean, you cannot earn probably the same returns as you could from London as in Nottingham, but people are doing incredibly well. I know multimillionaires in Nottingham,
of course,
that have just focused in Nottingham, nowhere else.
Nice. Assim, look, we've touched on a few little things, but I want to go right from the beginning. I want to go back to school days. I want to know what you were doing, what were some of your habits, some of your first courses and side hustles.
Yeah, look, I've always wanted to be in business. I didn't realize I was dyslexic until I was 21. So I've always felt a bit creative. And school was nice. Yeah, I had some nice friends. Still in touch with some of them. Some not.
What sort of subjects was you choosing?
My parents and family said you should be a doctor, right?
Yeah, the Asian thing.
Asian thing. So I did sciences, and I went to college and did science. But then I want to be in business. So I did economics and accounting, and I did maths, but I also did photography. I have A-level photography as well.
That's interesting.
It is. And then I got a degree in accounting and finance at Bangor University. So here I am living in, compared to you, the countryside, but Nottingham, small city, and a lovely city. And I went to the coast of Wales in Bangor, which was absolutely amazing. Snowdonia, Menai Straits, beautiful clean air. But when I first got there, I thought, oh my God, people are staring at me. Why are they staring at me? Where's the rest of the Asian people? And I was like, I want to go home. But thankfully I stayed and made loads of lovely friends, and I had a really good, successful time. As a dyslexic person, I got a 2-1, so I was really happy.
Fantastic.
So that's like getting a first if you're normal.
Important question: did you climb Snowdonia?
I did.
You did.
I did.
How's that feel?
It was nice. It's a hill. I mean,
it's a hill.
It's
so you're ready for Everest.
It's not a real mountain. It's a big hill. It's a beautiful place.
How long did that take you?
Oh, I think I was on a walk with friends. It was a couple of hours,
Yeah.
out there, and it was stunning. I didn't go back and back. I had friends that were in the mountaineering society, who had all the gear. We all used to wear fleeces anyway, whether you mountained or not.
Mhm.
But it was formative because I couldn't travel back home every weekend because it was a 3-hour train ride. I basically turned up with two suitcases on the train. You know, I hadn't gone there before. My father didn't drive, so it was just looking at the brochure, no internet to check it out. So I turned up there with two suitcases at the train station, thinking I got to walk up that hill.
Mhm.
So I walk up the hill to get to my place, all on my own. But made some friends and who still friends with now, and I actually got a job before I graduated. I got a job with HSBC.
And was that your first job?
No, I mean I'd been working since I was 13.
Okay.
So paper round, working at my uncle's shops, um,
What sort of shops?
grocery shop.
Okay.
I worked in a grocery shop when I was
Did you
young.
think these lessons helped you working in little side hustles at a young age?
Yeah, because I always wanted to do more than what was in front of me. So I've always worked for a young age. I mean, I'm wearing shoes now, and I remember buying shoes that looked like these for myself, and they cost me 75 quid, and I would earn that in a week or two. So I bought, and I was really proud of that. I bought my first bike, I bought my first car,
What
uh,
was your first car? What did you buy?
I bought a van.
A
I bought a
van.
van because I wanted to go to business. So I wanted to. I set up. My brother-in-law at the time had these market stores, so his catering's good. So I set up a catering stall in a market. It was horrible. My mom hated it. She was right to hate it. It was hard work doing all that preparation for a few pounds, and it took me ages to extract myself out of that. It was a real eye opener, and then I went to work for Burger King, and I worked for Pizza Hut. In between college, the only time I really didn't work was when I was at university. I didn't have a job, but I worked in between.
What did you think of Pizza Hut and
I loved
Burger
it.
King?
My family loved Pizza Hut because I got half price pizza, so I'd bring home pizza sometimes, which was nice. I liked it because it's a very sociable place. I was a waiter, so I got to talk to people, and I got to learn to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
So that was really useful.
How important are interpersonal skills and communication skills?
Uh, If you want to be a heart surgeon, you want to be a computer programmer, they don't doesn't matter. You know, but if you want to be a hustler, you want to achieve something that hasn't been achieved, you want to do things that haven't been done, you want to follow your own path, then being able to talk to people is your superpower. And I can talk to anybody I want to.
Superpower.
And if I don't want to, I won't talk to anybody equally. If there's somebody I don't want to talk to, if I'm in a room, I don't want to talk to anybody, I'll happily just sit there on my own, just thinking my thoughts. But if I want to speak to somebody, I'll speak to them and I'll have a great conversation with them.
A lot of people can't spend time by themselves.
Yeah.
And they say it's quite important to do that because then you can be with yourself and your thoughts and like you're at zen, you're present, like you're not always chasing, looking for something else or being around in a crowd that you don't want to be. How do you be comfortable with yourself and just be okay just going spending half the day going for a walk, appreciating nature or with your thoughts?
I'm a busy man, right? If I'm just sitting, I've got a lot going on. You know, my brain is buzzing. So I'm not trying to be a bit peace with myself. I've got some thoughts I need to work through. But going back to your point, I think you should have a sense of self-respect, appreciating your own value, appreciating your own time, because that's the number one thing people will want to see when they decide whether they want to spend time with you as well. If you're not at peace with yourself, if you're not comfortable with yourself, and you're awkward with yourself, then you're going to be awkward with others. You're going to be you're going to be one of those people. I don't know where it's coming from, or what's he about? I'm very simple in that I am who I am. I don't necessarily seek out company, but I'm comfortable with myself. So I can go into an event and I can just enjoy the moment. And when you see somebody from the flip side, when you see somebody who's just comfortable and confident, you're willing to gravitate to that person and talk to that person because they see I'm nervous, but they're comfortable. So that puts my mind at rest.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So you've done a few little these side hustles now. You've graduated and you've got a job in HSBC.
Yeah.
What did you? Is it a graduate
It's a
program?
graduate program. They spent at the time they spent about £70,000 on my training.
What did you train for?
I did a 10-week. Well, I was there over a year and a bit, and they taught me about lending, how to assess how to assess debt. They taught us about foreign exchange. They taught us about working in a bank. They taught us interpersonal skills. They taught us these professional skills. And I was trained with other people around the world in their global management training center. So for 10 weeks, I was on on-site training. It was fabulous. They did everything for us. They washed our clothes, they
Wow.
ironed them, they fed us, they paid us.
And was
Uh,
this in Wales?
no, that was in Bricket Wood in London,
Okay.
just outside London.
So you had to move again.
Yeah, so I basically packed up and went to Bricket Wood, um, and I stayed there with people from all over the world, from Hong Kong, Singapore, America. Um, there were some from Europe as well, and it was fabulous. Out of over 3,000 people, they hired 32, and I was one of those. So it was
Congratulations.
fabulous. Training was awesome.
Why did you get picked?
I don't know because I applied to other banks. I applied to Barclays and Lloyd's because I like banking. I didn't really want to be an accountant. I like banking. Because I thought it's close to business. Um, I was I was happy. I was happy that I'd been interviewed. So I went there enthusiastic. I'd done loads of things in business societies at university. So I had lots of examples of, when they ask you, give us an example of, give us an example of, I'd got loads of examples.
You've had a lot of experience at that time already.
I had. So those questions were great. And because I'm a conversationalist, I could speak. I wasn't awkward.
I'm interested to see how this sort of takes off now from here because I worked in a shop. I worked in McDonald's.
Yeah.
I did accounting and finance, and I worked in Barclays.
Yay.
So I want to see how we went to different
yes.
paths now. How it lifts off from here. So how was your journey in HSBC? Did you stay with them for quite a while?
No, after that training, they put me at a branch, and the branch was really interesting because I had to do all the jobs in the branch. So from counting the cash, filling the cash machine, being on the tills, to being a business banker and going out meeting clients and finding clients and assessing loans and all that stuff. So two parts of the branch. Downstairs, your normal bank,
Retail banking.
retail bank. Upstairs, business banking. Downstairs, loved it. I got on with all the staff.
Yeah.
They would make fun of me, and they would say because it was West Midlands, we'll only make fun of you, I think, because we like you. And we had a good rapport. The lady that was running that would always give me a strange reaction. She would always say I was arrogant, overconfident. She would always kind of put me down. I never understood it because they're like 20 staff. I'm like, I'm getting on with them. But she's telling me, I've got an ego issue or I'm overconfident. She's knocking me down. That was strange. And then I went to the second floor. My line manager was there. And I was getting on with the staff. I was doing my stuff. But my manager puts me down. And I'm like, what's going on here? I'm getting on with all the staff. And I get I get zero training. I get zero guidance. So I'm just kind of on my own there. And I just didn't really learn an awful lot. So then I went to another branch. I went to Nottingham, and I hadn't learned an awful lot about the skills I needed because I basically was on my own. I didn't get any training. I did not get any support. So they assumed I had, right? And manager was fabulous, the staff were lovely, but I struggled like hell because I hadn't got the training from before. Um, and the previous manager, he threatened me as well, and I thought this is weird.
What do you mean threatened you?
Oh, he threatened me in an odd way. It was very uncomfortable, but Asian boy struggling, will hustle through it. So I didn't think anything of it. So when I arrived at the second place, I dived in. People were great, very supportive, but I struggled. And I went on a placement to a couple of places. I went on a placement to Cards, and that was fab. And there's a lady there that was on the same placement, at the same place as I was, and she told me her nightmare stories. So okay, it's not just me then. Uh, so when I came to Nottingham, I struggled, and I struggled like hell. So I wanted a way out. So I applied for a job, and I went to Aldi. So Aldi gave me like a £10,000 pay rise, and that was a lot then. It didn't know it might not be so much. So I went on this district manager training program, and I had to learn everything. And yeah, it was hard, but I was enjoying it.
So you went from banking to supermarket.
Yeah, yeah. But it
Wow.
was a big leap because they promote really quickly,
Right.
and I just wanted a way out. And my dad said stay, but I was struggling, so I went. And I'm dyslexic, right? So I have to learn all the prices off my head, and I did quite well. But the one of the managers, most of the managers were fab. One guy says, you said you're pissing against the wind." Like, okay, that's interesting. So then my manager, my line manager, basically just said, "You know what? You should resign." So they kind of put me. I didn't have any options, so I basically tendered my resignation. But I didn't tender my resignation. I was asked to leave. But they had a 75% failure rate. So I left a really good job. And if I'd if I stood there, I would have worked through it. Something would have happened. So I left a lovely job, and I worked with very successful people. One of my managers, he became the chief executive officer of Co-op Bank when it was struggling. So he flew in, ran that bank as a turnaround. He's an incredibly successful, smart guy. So that didn't work out, right? So I went and got a job, and I was struggling. I'd got married. My wife thought, this guy's got a job at HSBC, and then later on, I'm unemployed. So
How old was you at this stage?
I was about 24,
Okay.
23. So I went and got. I struggled because I'd left something, right, and had a gap. So I was helping my uncle out in his shops, helping my brother-in-law in his markets, helping my brother in his market store. And I was like, I'd learned loads of training. I came from a nice university, and I thought it was fabulous. And then I was working in a market store. So I got this job working for Energizer, the battery company, selling batteries to the trade. And I was grateful. I got a company car, got a mobile phone, and I learned sales. I learned to sell expensive products to people who pay peanuts. So I learned about value and about selling. So I became a salesperson. I got made redundant. So this is my career success, right? HSBC didn't work out. Aldi didn't work out. Energizer got made redundant.
After how long?
18 months. It was a brand new team.
Yeah.
And they made the whole team redundant. So I was doing quite well. I was always in the top.
Yeah.
I was always in the top quarter of the sales. So then I went to what's now called Virgin Media. It was Diamond Cable then. selling B2B telecoms and internet. And I was a hustler, right? And so I did quite well. I did well. And for a while, I wondered where all the staff were getting all that, how they're successful. Me, I was just out there, knocking on doors, industrial estates, and talking to people. And those people, and I'm like at the desk, just ringing people and talking to them, but they didn't. So I always wondered what happened there. Somebody was feeding leads, but I didn't get an allocation of it. I didn't get many. So I did quite well because I was a hustler, but I got accused of cheating while I was at Virgin Media. I was accused of bribing they had a new sales administrator come. They accused me, my two colleagues accused me of cheating and paying him to give me leads, and I was like, I don't know what. I mean, I'm saying this is a podcast that go out to the world. Look, where does that come from?
Mm.
I didn't even know these leads existed for ages. Suddenly, I'm getting some of them. So I was proved innocent, but I thought I don't want to be here, so I left. So I got a promotion to work for a national team, selling products to the channel, which was indirect sellers. So it was great. Whole country was our oyster, and it was a fabulous step. But then the whole team got made redundant.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, I think we had our second child on the way. I've been made redundant twice. I thought, forget this. They gave me a really good payout. I got half a year's salary, and I had this figure. And I said to my wife, look, it's not working. This is the time where I get off and have a go, or I never try again. And she was supportive. And then I had to go. So that's where my business life started working for me. So it's been over 25 years, 20, 23, 24 years now working for myself.
So how did you know it was the right time for you to
I
go
didn't know it was the right
self-employed?
time, Sean. That's a very nice way of saying it. Basically, I'd failed in my career.
Yeah.
At every turn. Yeah. It hadn't happened for me. And one thing when I was a Virgin, one thing I really was disappointed was every big deal opportunity I got was taken off me because I was at a different level. So they'd just take it off me and they'd have the fun with it. And I thought, I'm quite ambitious. And there was a guy at Everready, a sales guy, and he was like, he would make small things great. He'd take a small opportunity and magic it into something fabulous. And that always stuck on the back of my mind. Like, you can do what you want. If you can make it, you can, if you can imagine it, how it can happen, you can deliver. You can set your own path. So in working for myself, I thought I'm in control. Nobody's ever going to choose my path for me. And I just didn't like the idea of, I've got kids now. I've got two young children. I didn't like that. I didn't like that somebody else was in control of my destiny.
Yes.
So it was chosen for me.
How did you know what you wanted to do?
As a salesperson, you tell everybody everything. So I told everybody around me what I wanted to do. And somebody said, yeah, we could do with some of that. So I was working at Virgin. I got to meet this energy buying company. And I thought, you know what, I can sell their service to somebody else. So they said yes. The customer said yes. Then I went back to them and I said, could you? So they started being my supplier of service. They screwed up.
Oh, no.
So I ended up doing it myself. So I learned how to do it. I learned how to buy energy. And it was working for an A-grade property management company in the West End of London.
Wow.
It was awesome. And these guys would work for billionaires. But that company was owned by a billionaire.
Wow.
So I would go to Bond Street and Knightsbridge to pick up my work. And I'd go back to Nottingham. So I hired my cousin to work with me, who worked for Eon. Very honourable, honest guy, hardworking. So I would get the work, he would do the work, and I would deliver it. And I was we were buying energy for multi-million pound buildings around the country. So the limits were off. So now I didn't feel I could do anything, but I just thought what I'm willing to do, somebody's willing to pay me for. I got paid very well.
So basically, what you're saying, these big buildings in West End buys their electricity.
Yeah, because they're owned by a property management company. They're owned by a billionaire or a fund. So they get managed by an agent, right? But not an agent for a house, agent for commercial building. And these agents don't do the work; they sub it all out because their specialism is managing the property.
So they're just brokering the best energy price.
That's all I did. I was a broker, so we had deals with all the energy companies, and we would put the contract out. We would tender it, and we would actually sign the contract. We would literally sign the contracts. We'd get authority to do that because when we needed to act, we would have to act quickly. So we said, let us sign the contract. We'll show you what's there, but we'll do it very quickly. So
So you had these relationships already with these agents.
no, I
You
didn't.
just had to go there and pitch.
I ended up working for a property management company. My first client was a property management company who was in partnership with this my first client, the London property manager. They went bankrupt, which is it's not me. It's not me, picking bankrupt their clients, but they liked what I was doing, so they said, "Asssim, can you carry on working for us?" So I did. So for 8 years, I bought energy. We bought millions of pounds of energy for our clients. So I would get, and I grew. I got more and more clients. And
Can you share how much turnover you was making?
in my first year, I was just under 100 grand, right, on my own, and I was working for other companies, and I was on about 30 grand.
Yeah.
I went from 30 grand just under 100 grand. I did it on my own, working from my loft with a computer and a printer and a phone. That was all right. So I hired a guy to help me, and he stayed with me for 10 years.
And how was the growth from the first year, from 100 to say the last year
Well,
or
the
the
last
last?
year, it loads of interesting steps, but very briefly, I wanted we would charge, let's say then it was like £900 a day, which wasn't much, but it was all right. But somebody said no to me. No, I don't want to pay you your fee. I'll only pay you a share of the savings. So had a share of savings on some clients, but he said no. So I would have billed him £1,000, but because he said no, I ended up billing him £10,000. He was happy with it. And I'm thinking what value is. Value is not what it is to me; it's what it is to somebody else. And I would regularly charge tens of thousands of pounds to my clients because they wanted me to charge them a share of the savings rather than a fee. So we did quite well.
Right. So you brokered the deal, structured it differently.
Their fees, the way I got paid was different. They don't want to just pay, a fee for me like a lawyer. They said, we'll pay you if you make us a saving because we have to justify your value to our clients. So how do we know you're going to give us anything? So sometimes we would take share of savings, not all the time, but only when I knew I could win. When I did my calculation. So I pretty much had to do all the work first. Yeah, okay, I'll do it on that basis.
Delayed gratification, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of people just want it here and now, or they're not getting up off their seat and working. What are the benefits of seeing things differently, and how can you tell somebody who's used to, no, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not turning up. No, it doesn't work like that. Like, how do you change that person's mindset?
You know what? You can show them the lolly. You can say, what time is it? You haven't got a watch. How do you get it? You got on a bus? Yeah, in my car. I need this watch. It's a nice watch. You've got a lovely watch as well. I don't know. Or you can say, look, you know what? If you carry on that way, that bus, you're going to get to know that route a lot. It's a pain and pleasure. I think sometimes we just have to be the best example we can. There was one client, I got paid £50,000 to do a piece of work because they wanted shared savings. That's what they wanted.
So share of savings is you show them what somebody else is going to give them that electricity for,
It
and
was a
then what you can
complex
get 'em.
project. It wasn't just buying the contract. There's lots going on there. But we got paid 50 grand. And that's what they wanted. Whereas we could have charged them maybe 5 grand.
Wow.
So for me, I have a real sense of what value is because I've lived that and I've seen it work. Whereas others don't. And one of my coaching clients, after 3 weeks of working with me, she earned 35 grand more on a job than she would have otherwise done.
Wow.
And I thought, that's really nice. And that's what it's about. It's just about, and the step I had to get her over was feeling she and her company deserved it, feeling that the client wouldn't run away by looking at that price. It was £1 million deal, so it wasn't a huge amount, but that difference was the difference between them making a fair profit versus covering their costs. So yeah, I have a real strong sense of what value is, and I've always done that. So for me, I'm always willing to charge. I think you've got to charge somebody, not if I said to you, you know what, you want to buy something from me, right? And you give me a price, and I say, yeah, okay, and you say, okay, so we agree straight away. That's not a price that's comfortable. It should be. Sometimes it should be the price that you're struggling but willing to pay, and I'm like, oh, I'm struggling but willing to accept, because that way we know we've got the best price possible for you and me. The price where you think, oh my God, this is a lot, but it's worth it. And for me, like, I don't want to do it if I don't get that. There has to be a walkaway price. And sometimes people are not willing to walk away, are they?
What if you have this sense of pride that this is what my value is, but work's a little bit tight, and you've now said no to 10 jobs because it wasn't your price, and now you're not paying your bills?
If you said no to 10 jobs and go look somewhere else, you shouldn't be looking there, because you shouldn't be saying no that often. People shouldn't be saying no to you that often. They should know when they come to you, you're going to deliver. You're going to deliver a high quality, and you'll probably exceed anyway. So if the customers in the early days, I've done a lot of work for free. So some of those clients, I worked for free. I did 1 or 2 jobs for free, nothing, just to show. As a speaker, I've done speaking for free, just to show. As a coach, I did loads for free without getting paid. So in my own mind, I needed to prove it to me. And I think you got to start with yourself. You have to prove that you're worth it to yourself. And what they say is, you know what? Once you've charged somebody 5 times, charge 5 people that price, then you should step up. Some people it's 7, some people it's 8, some people it's 10. But start low. The most important thing is nail your craft, know your product, know your service, do it incredibly well. And if you have to do it for free, that's called an investment in you. And if you think suddenly, I'm going to charge tens of thousands of pounds, I've never done it before, it's never going to happen. One of my clients is a minor celebrity, and he has a huge value, but he doesn't feel that way. So we've got to get him to the point where he's very confident and clear about the value he has. And that's about practicing, but also being really motivated and excited about what he does have to give. And he's done lots for free. And there's nothing wrong with doing lots of work for free. if you're getting good at the service, if you can effortlessly deliver us I mean, this is a demonstration of your service. You can, I mean, you're straight into this, Sean. You got me comfortable. You got me feeling. You got yourself prepared. You got the beautiful place. You know, and anybody who's thinking about hiring a speaker, they shouldn't think twice about you. But I know there's a lot of work that's gone into this. There's a huge amount of effort and preparation to make it look effortless for me.
Yes, it does. Absolutely. You're right. You're right. Yeah, I've always had a sort of a few qualms of like my value also. Sometimes you just want to be there and help people, and sometimes you're thinking you're helping people by charging the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, "Poof, that was a lot of energy. Could have been doing all of them things and be earning more over there." Sometimes. So, how do you know what your value is, or how much you should price yourself at?
I still do a lot for free. I coach for free. I coach young entrepreneurs from the BAME community for free. I don't have a problem. But if people are going to get rich because of my work, then I'm going to charge them. And if I'm the wrong price, then I'm fine with that. I'm willing to accept no's. I'm willing for people to walk away. I, and I'm comfortable with that. And that's the problem. Entrepreneurs sometimes like, I've got to get this deal. No, you don't. You don't have to get this deal. I'm working on buying companies now. And there's a really nice company I wanted to buy. It's small, it's cute. You know, I could do a lot with it. And he's 84 years old, the owner is. Nice, really nice guy. And he said no. And he wanted to sell. And I was like, oh, the point. But you know what? I was looking at some other deals and I'm thinking, does that deal, is that valuable for me, for my time? And I'm thinking, no. And all of a sudden, all those like, oh, I'm disappointed. It's all gone. All that disappointment of him saying no is gone because I know there's better value elsewhere. And you have to believe that sometimes it's right to say, for somebody to say no, and for you to say no. Would I have been disappointed if Aldi had said no to me years ago? No. I would have been somewhere else. I would have done something else. But their hiring mentality was like, yeah, capable, intelligent, motivated. Take them on. I think it's all changed now. I don't know. And Aldi, if you're watching, the truth is the truth. I've got nothing to hide. Um, I think it's all right when you get rejected for a job that you really want, because if you don't fit into their culture, their way of working, it's fine. You know, it's better that you do that rather than 3 years down the line. I hate it. I'm disappointed. They're making me wear a tie. They're making me wear a blue suit. I have to go on offsites every weekend. You know, they're making me do this. They said no. It's better. You know, you don't. It's better that they tell you at the beginning you don't fit in, rather than later on.
So see it as a positive and a chance for you to move on and use your skills elsewhere or something else that will make you feel happier.
Exactly. But whenever you're in this buying, selling, it should be a two-way street. Whenever I meet entrepreneurs that are raising funding and they got a pitch, I always tell them, look, it's not just about you pitching to them. They got a pitch to you as well. If you come at any relationship as a subservient, like, master, you're not going to win. You're not attractive, you're not interesting, you're not exciting. You should always be equals. Whether it's a £10 million funding round or whether it's a £20 order, you always got to be an equal to your customer, to your partner. So you should do as much work to assess them as they are of you. And you should be willing to say, no, thank you. It's not right for us. And be all right with that.
hmm So you're in this company, brokering electricity, and you're starting to make some big chunks of money because you've realized the value you can create from it and what the value is worth to your client. now you started making quite some big sums of money. Did you start investing some of that elsewhere, or did you just carry on and
I bought a house, my first rental property, but it was terrible. I had to do all the work, and it was nice. I made a bit of money out of it, but I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy property. I ended up going on an export mission to Hungary, um, and I met some people who wanted to raise money for clean tech projects, and I said, "Yeah, I could do that," and I did. Uh, I got 75 million for a wind farm project um, in Hungary, but the government minister took all the licenses. Really odd. So there was no licenses to build the wind farm. I'd got the money, and then I raised 150 million euros for a renewable energy plant. So I got the money, got the banker there, heads of terms already, and the project partners changed their mind. They didn't want to deal with this investor, and we had the money. I would have made 2.5 million
wow,
from that deal.
wow?
I would have got paid 225,000 pounds euros on signing of that, and they didn't. Um, and I did other things like that, but they just didn't go ahead. And I was too willing to do all the work before I had got my agreement in place.
Yeah. How
So
do you get yourself in these rooms? Like, how do you know how to raise all of this money and who to work with and put these deals together?
you know what? We're hustlers, aren't we? You ask enough people, and they will suggest somebody. If your intention is to do something, then you walk in that direction, and you tell enough people. Like you, sometimes entrepreneurs keep everything secret, and it's right to keep things secret. But you do need to share a little bit. You ask the right people. You do enough. You go to enough networking events or industry events and understand the sector. You'll find people to help you. And I've always believed in becoming a mini expert in the space. So yeah, I got recommended and I got introduced. Um, I got 10 million on a 10-page PowerPoint. It was fabulous. I got invited by the government of Hungary to help these Silicon Valley entrepreneurs raise 320 million euros for a solar power project. And I looked at it and it's like 50 pages. I looked at the technology and I just said, guys, it's the wrong technology. I don't think you should do this. And they said, yeah. And they said, we're not going to do it. How motivated were they in doing their project?
How do you know if things are the right technology or not, though?
You just read, don't you? Ask people who know better. Ask people who know better. When I created my insulation system, which came because I was fed up of raising other people money for other people and them not implementing. I was fed up with that. So I thought, why not do my own? So I would take my technology to people who knew better, who would say, Assim, that's rubbish. That's pointless. And they didn't. They kept saying yes. They kept saying yes. So I know the limits of my knowledge. I don't know the limits of my enthusiasm and optimism. That's what sometimes got me into trouble. But I know the limit. I know what I don't know, so I'll ask for somebody else to give me some guidance. So I'll always find an expert, and you shouldn't be afraid of asking for help. So I don't. I never see any issue with doing the big project or the big challenge, and but that doesn't mean I've always been successful in them either.
So, in this electric brokering company, did you just carry on and on and on, or why did it come to a
We
stop?
became a sustainability consultancy over 10 years, 10, 15 years ago. So I became an associate of the Institute of Management of Environmental Management and Assessment. I qualified as a chartered energy manager, a member of the Energy Institute, and my staff were as well. We had about 5 people working
And what
for.
does it involve having that
Well,
qualification?
I became like a chartered accountant for energy. So it's
And how long did that take you?
8 years of professional practice.
Wow. Okay.
So I had a qualification in this subject.
And how is that different to accounting?
Uh, well, I mean, become a chartered energy manager. It's a portfolio of your work rather than exams. So I don't want to say it's the same as being an accountant. Accountants are way up there, but it was a mark of professionalism of where I'd got to. We'd moved on into sustainability. We've done energy assessments and sustainability work for loads of interesting companies and government as well. But I didn't want to be a consultant. So I looked at raising money, hadn't made any money out of it. And I saw a problem of heat loss, a technical thing, but heat loss through old homes. And I just thought there was a better way. So I came up with this insulation system and I showed it to better people. And they said yes. And we started doing more and more work on that and less work on.
Did it look like King's Plan, for example?
No, my whole thing is like shiplap, a piece of shiplap timber, but 11 centimeters wide, height of 3 bricks, 10 meters long,
Of wood.
of a composite panel. So you got a textured layer on the outside, made out of fireproof UPVC. Not all UPVC is fireproof, full of insulation, and then it just fits into itself. So it's an interlocking panel that screws onto the wall.
Okay, so it's like on top of the brick wall.
Onto the brick wall.
Outside or inside?
Outside.
Outside, so like a cladding.
It's a cladding system.
Okay, and so it's about that thick.
11 centimeters.
Okay, and so it's like they currently use, but the things that your cladding is made of is different material.
It's different material, but the insulation is the same. The difference is when you see insulation on a house, and it's not flats, houses, they fix this foam board or this gyprock panel, and then they put cement over it, and it's a craftsman's job, craftsperson's job. They don't always get it right because they're not trained enough, they're not skilled enough. So mine is just a lot simpler. It's like putting wood paneling on a house. So it's a much lower skill level. I had a 3D prototype. I got a major PLC, put money in it. I got 650,000 from government. Got Eon on board. I got Housing Association on board. I won this grant. I started doing less and less work, earning money, more and more on my invention, and the business kind of dropped. But we really believed in this because the market opportunity was huge. Government was putting in £650 million a year in insulation. So, and Eon was supporting me. So business kind of dropped. My colleague left, did the right thing. But I won this grant about a year and a half later, changed everything. So I'm working with these corporates. I won this fabulous grant. We turned my prototype into a working, functional thing. And it's on a house in Nottingham. It works. It's fabulous. But they pulled away before we were going to launch. And it was a mess. The contract, we didn't get to final contract. And their lawyers were better than mine. Couldn't get the IP back, the intellectual property, for 3 years. Caused me all sorts of problems.
You had to fight to get this invention back.
Yeah, I had to fight for it. And the only way I got it back was I won another grant, and I used some of that grant, and it was what it was for, to buy the machine off them. So I bought the machine, and it's a £160,000 machine. I got it for a lot less. And I suddenly got all my intellectual property back. And now we're looking at using it in a different way. I'm in some grant bids. I'm talking to government Flanders. I'm looking at the USA. But that was like a massive failure, huge. And it was a real, like, you're looking at your face and thinking, this is a horrible story. But it's not. It's a good story. It's just painful. I'm happy to talk about it because in entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs talk about their successes all the time. They'll stand on a stage and they'll talk about how wonderful their journey is. Richard Branson, his minor struggles, his successes. Elon Musk, his successes. Doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work like that. it's a hard graft. It's a lonely thing to do, to be an entrepreneur. It's full of challenges. When you're trying to do something different, you have to persuade people to go your way and to leave theirs. You have to persuade them to give you money to buy your stuff, to go with you on the journey. It's hard work. And not enough entrepreneurs talk about the detail of that. And I was I'd been asked to do a seminar to the MBA students at my old university. And I was asked the year before when I was doing well. They asked me when I wasn't doing so well. And I said to them, look, I'll come, but I don't want to talk about successes. I want to talk about what's actually happened. So I had this kind of epiphany, and I suddenly realized where I'd gone wrong. And I'd gone wrong because I didn't see where the risks were in my business. I was very dependent on other people. But I also realized the one thing that I really screwed up on was trust. I did not know how to trust people. So I created this model of how I should trust people. So I gave them the seminar and they loved it. They really thought this is amazing. They'd never seen anything like that before. So I thought, I've got something here. And I realized that if I put myself out like this, I'm going to talk about Assim as the failure. But I thought, you know what? That's kind of embarrassing. But if I don't, then who is? Who is going to tell the truth? That young entrepreneur along the way, or that somebody who's going to leave their job and go off on this path? Who's going to tell them about where things could go wrong? Who's going to help protect them about where things could go wrong? And I didn't see anybody that could. And I'd been in an accelerator, and I enjoyed it. But they live in this rational world, which is like a room full of cushions, which is, if you do this and you do this, you'll get that. If you do some marketing and you put some money in paid ads, you're going to get this. If you come up with this invention and you do this test and you get the money from the investors, this is going to happen. Nothing like that. The reality is, you will make a lot more mistakes. You're going to get burnt and messed around with to get anywhere. We don't talk about that as entrepreneurs because it's culturally not what we do. We say, yeah, it's going well. You ask me how it's going. I say, yeah, it's going well. And it is. But, especially men, we don't talk about our failings. We don't talk about, what, Sean, is it actually going all right? Can we have a one-on-one conversation? You tell me about where you're struggling and I tell you where I'm struggling and we can work things out. We don't do that. We don't do that. It's a very masculine environment, even for women. We have to talk about I went to an event of a friend who's doing really well, and I just saw her drinking an awful lot, and I could feel the pressure on her, and I can see that this is going to be an issue, despite her success, because she's the one at the top. So I just thought I gotta let go of my ego. I didn't have an ego anyway at that point because I'd done so badly. And I need to speak the truth.
Wow. Well, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. So then what happened on your journey?
So I pitched the lady who was running the accelerator.
Yeah.
Can I do one? Can I do it? Can I deliver a seminar? And took a chance on me. He said, yeah, okay. And he said, okay, prepare it. And I thought it was a 1 day. No, it's a 2 day. So I had to turn my 1 hour into a 2-day seminar. And I went, and it was in Hungary. So I worked for 2 months to work out how to deliver this seminar from the point of view of the person sitting on the chair, how to make it exciting, interesting, useful, valuable. So I pretty much put my life on the line. I laid out all my stuff, all my failings, and I saw the lessons that I'd learned and the mistakes I'd made, and I'd used all of my stuff my mistakes as a lesson and delivered it, and they loved it. And I was rated one of the best speakers, and it was for the European Institute
Hmm.
of Technology, which was one of Europe's largest accelerators, the European government's accelerator. And I got paid really well, and it was really successful. So I've delivered similar things for the European government a number of times, internationally by Zoom and abroad as well. And I'm working on writing a book around one of those lessons that I learned. I'm probably the best speaker on failure, business failure, and that's like, do you really want the accolade? And a friend of mine said, you know what? If I heard you speak about that, I probably wouldn't turn up. Thinking, yeah, okay, but you know what? When you go to a doctor and you say, I got a pain in my shoulder, he feels it. He does this, right? And you know what he's doing? He's not going back. If he's an older doctor, he's going back 10, 15, 5, whatever years. He's thinking, I was in that theater. I cut somebody's body open, a cadaver's body open. I looked inside. I saw the muscle. And he's thinking, I'm feeling what I'm looking at. Because they've ripped apart with ethically, they've taken the body apart and looked inside. And that's what I've done. I've looked inside failure of a business and seen where it could go wrong. So I'm more useful to an entrepreneur than Richard Branson. Richard Branson will inspire you and he'll lift you and elevate you. Will he tell you where things have gone wrong? And rightly, he's not, he's very busy, much busier than I am. But I will tell you where things go wrong, where you should look for yourself. I'll show you a plan of your business of where things might go wrong, and then we'll put in a place because you know the answers. You just don't think like that. You don't think failure. You think success. When we bring you back to reality, you'll think, that's where things might run. You know what I'll do? I've got 3 answers to that. I've got this I could do instead. Instead of relying upon that person, I'm going to outsource it, less risk. Or instead of just outsourcing it to one, I'll get 3 quotes, or I'll go and get references. Some of these things are really simple, but we don't do them. So I am more useful to an entrepreneur because I'll tell you the truth. I'll feel your pain. And I've gone through it myself. And I'll help you find the answer. Whereas going to a seminar, and I've been to quite a few, inspiration is wonderful. I love it. I appreciate it. I come back and I go back to my business. I'm on a cloud and I got to get back to reality. Where's the value of that to me? I want to know where things go wrong for some. When I listen to the talks you've done, there are people saying their honest truth about where they struggled and their journey, and it's much more revealing and useful to hear an entrepreneur speak about the reality of what they're going through, rather than be wowed. And I like a bit of both. I like to be wowed because that pushes me forward. What works for you?
Well, it's not the plain sailing, easy ride that it wasn't just like from shops to McDonald's to Barclays to buying my first house to 4 houses to getting to self-employed and building and then just got a 10 million pound. That's the nice version of the
It
story,
is.
but the reality is you got to go to McDonald's when you're going to college 3 of the days, and the other 4 days, the Tuesday and Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you've got to get yourself up and go and work. And then you might have done a double shift, on a Sunday and still got to get up in the morning for college. And
Yeah.
then
And,
you've still got to do your extra work after that.
and nobody patting you on the back for that, are
Nah,
they?
nobody. And then you've got to pay for and it just goes just like that when you've got to pay your insurance, £2,000 because you're young, you've got this little KA. And then all of a sudden, you're at Barclays and you've got to get up at 6 o'clock, out the door by 6:30, get your first bus, second bus, train up central London, then you're there 8 o'clock. And then on the bad day, you might get there 8:30, which means you're blocked out because it's that period where they don't let anybody in.
Oh,
And then you walk in at 9 o'clock and everyone's looking at you and you're late. Yeah, but it was only 2 minutes. No, it's 32 minutes. It's like, because I've been waiting outside for all of that time. And then what's your diary looking like? Well, if had you let me in that 2 minutes earlier, I would have printed all my
yeah.
profile prints and know who was walking in. So I'm now late for that, which is a dominoes effect. You're trying to play catch up the whole single
Hmm.
day. And then everybody leaves at 5 o'clock and you're doing your research because you want to be number one in West End, and you've trained your caches and say, have you got the Dropbox checks out? And let me see, these are the people who are, time poor. So they just post the checks in. So they never speak to nobody.
Yeah,
But I've got their details now here and I've just checked they've got a very large balance. So now I can call out. But yeah, it got me to number one and it got me some bonuses, but it involved me staying there 2 hours
yeah,
after everybody's left.
yeah.
Then by the time you get home, it's 8:30 and you eat and you go to bed and you repeat the
Repeat
process.
the process.
And then you finish on a Friday, and then Saturday morning you're waking up 7 o'clock for McDonald's.
Yeah,
Boom, 8 o'clock you're at McDonald's, breaking your back till 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You might see some friends because you need a bit of me time now,
yeah.
and you're at 8, 9 o'clock. Next morning, McDonald's
But they
again.
don't appreciate what you're going through because they're enjoying themselves.
Exactly, and you're just going through a cycle. And
Yeah,
what people around you don't realize is, yeah, you're living the same life as them, Barclays, but on the weekend, I'm not chilling out like you guys are.
yeah,
I'm working on Saturday, Sunday. And some evenings I might have to go and fix a plumbing problem with a builder because I ain't got loads of money that I can afford a company £300 call out. It has to be done £50 with, Roland from down the road, who I'll let me pass you something, let me have a look with you, and
yeah,
and doing all of that. And to the McDonald people, that's all they care about. What's my shift and what am I eating later
yeah.
on? They don't have the commitments, etc. So what people don't actually see is, the hard work and the mental mindset you need to have when you are trying to create a life and create wealth to play life on your terms. Because that's the thing they don't see. They think it's easy. Put that this jigsaw together. It's more than that. The
It is.
jigsaw you're seeing, but you don't know the mindset. This is why people have burnout. People, they don't know how to structure their diary. They don't know. They wouldn't know how to start with two jobs.
Yeah, yeah,
Where's my fixed time? Where's my variable time? And what are the five top priorities? And they don't even get the priority list right. And then they end up being this angry person and lashing
yeah,
out every minute. And you think, why are you so angry?
yeah,
You're working for it. It's your life. It's not mine. It's your problem, not mine.
yeah,
How do you deal with that when you're not being patted on your back for your full-time job, part-time job, side hustles?
yeah.
You're working extremely hard. You want to get your gym in there as well to
Hmm.
look after your body and everything. How does somebody do that? Well, we do it subconsciously now,
We
and
do
effortlessly.
because we are driven by our own purpose, which is beyond us. It's not just about me. It's about what the impact I want to create on the world.
Yes.
And so we're not doing it just for ourselves.
Mhm.
Oh, we're not doing it for the money.
No.
You know, people say, well, you're just chasing the money. Well, it's not about the money. I believe there is something more
Mhm.
that I have to deliver.
Yes.
What's been your biggest challenge? Been your biggest failure?
Biggest failure challenge is having the wrong people around me.
What does that mean?
What it just means is people who just want to be next to you, give you a little bit of company, make you feel a little bit good, but then you become attached to these people and then they drag you down where you're going, come on, bro, you can get through this. I'm struggling with my rent. It's easy for you to say. Yeah, but look, as I can see in your life, you're doing this, this, this.
Yeah,
Just apply here and do that. I can't do that at the moment. I've got this commitment or that commitment. And you can clearly see it, and you try to fix people. And you've tried to fix four people around you because you're like, I'm a very lonely person. There's not many people around me or have my life.
yeah,
And the few people who are nice to me also are broken people. And
yeah,
they're looking for you to be the stability because they see the success, and you just entertain it for years,
yeah, yeah.
5, 6, 7 years go past, and you're thinking, hang on, these people keep dropping you whenever they want, and they've
Hmm.
replaced you with somebody who's willing to stick with everything that they're willing to hear. But through that time, you serve them, it means nothing.
Yeah,
So as soon as I dropped these people, it was better to be alone. And my growth went like that because it was like, what am I doing in my side hustles? What am I doing in my spare time now?
Hmm.
I've got 2 3 hours in the evening rather than sitting with this person and
Yeah.
putting my thoughts. And I've always been good with what I've done, but the place where I've allocated it to other people, it was like, wow, my time is so much more precious.
You need to be in a room with people that are willing to give as much as they get.
Yes.
That are not just there to suck time, but they're willing to give you their time.
Mhm.
They're willing to support you, and they want the support back.
100. And I was just East London boy.
Yeah.
I was a boy from East London, rough and tough. Used to get into a few little situations and you're doing your grafting. I'm working there. I'm working there. It's cool, bro. And I just wanted to be the boy from East London. What's going on, bro?
Yeah.
Everything good? Yeah. Let's chill out. Let's talk. What's going on? This. And I just wanted that moment just to be like away from everything. And I get, but these things actually drain you
They do.
for the actual things that you needed to do.
The thing is, you've grown as a person.
Yeah.
But it's not always the case that the people around you've grown. They've grown in a different way.
Mhm.
And relationships are transitory. They're not permanent. You connected with that person because of who you were at that time. And if you're friends, you stay with them and they stay with you. But there's a point where what you're doing, what you're seeing are not the same as what they're doing, what they're
No.
seeing.
Yeah.
And then there's a different room, there's a different place where your next set of friends will come.
Definitely. And I wasn't taught that. I wasn't taught about networking. And
Yeah.
I got as far as I did through the mentorship of my granddad and my dad. And I just thought that was normal. I thought everybody had that.
Yeah.
I thought everybody had somebody guiding them. So
Well, I didn't.
you
I
know.
didn't have a granddad
Mhm.
around me. And my dad was a busy guy,
Mhm.
and he did the best for us. But he was, he worked in a factory. So he was a great leader for me. So is my mom, but not necessarily in business.
So where did this so we got some toys here.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, is this what you do full time now? You're a speaker full time or a
I
coach?
I am a coach. I'm very selective who I pick. I I give freely. I coach for free entrepreneurs from a Bain background because I just want to elevate. And I've been on the advisory board for the Black Pound Project for a couple of years, and I work with Black entrepreneurs for free. That CJ, the chief executive, puts forward, and I do that because I want to, and I want to be able to support the community of ethnic minority entrepreneurs.
What else do you do?
I'm working on buying companies this year.
Right.
Go on.
Have you heard of a gentleman called D. Ludlow?
Yes,
Do you-
and a very
know-
successful guy he is as well.
He buys businesses. He
Yeah.
was on a few weeks ago as well. And
Amazing stuff. So I'm at the beginning of that, and I've signed a few heads of terms, but they were too dicey, so I pulled out of them. I made an offer last couple of weeks ago. He said no. I'm seeing some other businesses. The acquisitions I should have been working on 10 years ago instead of doing what I was doing. But my toy company, and here is a Pikachu made from Simbricks. So I invented
Pikachu.
I invented the brick.
Okay.
And I invented the brick because I was watching my own children play with these little plastic beads
Yeah.
that you iron together. And they would just cry if they got knocked. And I just thought there was a better way. So this is the result of 400 prototypes to get right. To get the one brick right, 400 prototypes.
Wow.
And I've been working on and around this for about 8 years.
Wow.
And we put it on Kickstarter. We got a licensing office from an American company. Fabulous deal. I took it, but then they had a new chief executive, and they pulled the offer. So then we went off and did it anyway, and we started selling these on our website, on Amazon. Did really well.
What's different about this product?
This is the best two-dimensional brick, so you can just take it apart like that, and there's no gluing required. The best 2D brick.
Why is it better than things like Lego?
Well, Lego is 3D, so this is two-dimensional, right? This is the best one because you don't glue it, you don't iron it, you can take it apart. It's very tactile. It's a very calming thing to play with, and And I've just licensed this last year to the country's biggest toy manufacturer, Character. I'm really pleased with that.
Who's that? Or can you say?
They're called Character Group
Right.
PLC. So I was talking to them for a while, but nothing happened.
And are other products going to come out with this, like in terms of like give
Yeah,
you some sort of instructions to make Pikachu, for
yeah.
example?
They've actually kept the brick design, they've kept the name, but they've created a new set of packages, and it's wonderful. And we're getting a really good response from the trade. They are. There's a TV advert that they're working on. There's a trade plan they're working on. Most of the big retailers have seen it. They're going to make a lot of these bricks.
So, how do you work on the design process of something like this?
You know what? You start off with the problem. You don't start off with, I've got this idea and I want to make this gizmo
Yeah.
gadget.
This,
That's
yeah.
doomed to failure.
They say if you're not solving a problem, you don't have a business.
Exactly. So I solved the problem for my kids.
Right.
And when I started selling this, other parents said, yeah, I've got this problem as well. Kids loved it.
What was the problem?
The problem was how to do these little pixel art things without having to iron them, without having to worry about them falling apart. I mean, I could drop it like that, but the other stuff, if you didn't iron it, it would fall apart. But these, they connect together and they come apart when you want, and they're reusable. You know, I wanted to make a product that would last a while, a quality product.
So is this made of plastic?
It's made out of a special kind of plastic, but they last and last and last. So at Christmas time, I gave away loads of toys to charities because I thought, you know what? This cost of living crisis is
It's real.
It's real. So I thought I have a toy company, right? So why don't I give? So I gave loads of toys away, and I've just given some more for Eid coming up.
Oh,
and I'm going to give it away a lot more. I would buy a toy for $5 from a retailer. You'd open it once, and you'd use it once, and that's it. You can never use it again.
And the price point for these bricks?
These, I started selling them for from £20 to £50, but they last. And I've had fans who bought them 7-8 years ago, still playing with them. I mean, not only they still got them, they're still playing with them. Their kids have grown up. You know, they're still enjoying them.
So how did you know when you had the right product here, like this finished one of this brick?
Because I felt it was comfortable for a 5-6-year-old to slide together. Yeah, because it's not my strength; it's the strength of a 6-year-old. And we tested it. We tested with 1,000 users before we started selling it.
So does that mean you got 1,000 kids to play with it?
Over 1,000 kids to play with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when do you know how to patent this?
Well, we did a patent before we took it out to the world. So when we did the design that we're happy with, filed the patent, didn't tell anybody, and then once we file the patent, we can then tell other people about it. So it's got a patent, it's got design registration, it's got a trademark, it's got every kind of protection it could have. And the company I've licensed to, they've extended that globally as well.
When you're designing something like this, how do you balance the creativity side and the usability sort of side with the budget that you're playing with as well?
I did this on a shoestring. Nishan, I did this on peanuts, on absolutely hardly anything. You know, I worked with my school that I was a governor at, and I asked them politely if they'd do some laser cutting. And Dave Jones was fabulous. I got to get him a box of this. I had students work on it. I got a little grant. I wasn't earning very much at the time. There was a point where I had to make a prototype. So I got a small handful, and it cost me 1,500 quid. And there's a point where you think, okay, I just got to dive in and do it. And we'd done all the testing, and we just pressed play. And the Kickstarter didn't work first time. The second time it did, not amazingly, but we sold loads on Amazon. We were Amazon choice USA, Canada, Europe, and UK.
So how much do you get out of this then?
Well, I did all right. I got
A
I got
one-time payment, or do you get a perpetuity
for the license.
for this product? So, you've given it to a toy company who now mass
Yeah,
produce
so
it. Do you get a percentage out of that?
yeah, I get a small percentage. They give me an advance, and then they give me a percentage of the sales. It's a small percentage, but it's off the top, and they've made the cake so much bigger. I mean, it's so much bigger.
And you carry on earning off that as
I
well,
do.
a slice of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And has that changed your life?
It's made me think carefully about what I'm doing next. So the next thing I'm working on is um, acquiring companies. So I'm picky of the kind of companies I want to acquire. I'm not in any rush to find a company. I will find a company that suits me, what I want. So I'm not hustling for an income right now.
Mhm. And how does somebody apply for a Kickstart?
The Kickstart that this refers to was the was Kickstarter, which is this website you use to launch a project. The Kickstart scheme, which I was involved with last year and the year before, has gone. But Kickstarter is a great website
Mhm.
for putting innovation out, and you're basically pre-selling one of your toys, one of your books, one of your your gizmos or your gadgets, or one of your videos, and you basically put a video together to demonstrate what it is, and people pre-purchase. You've got enough pre-purchase, gives you enough to go and make it. Then you go and make it, and then you deliver.
So we've got someone young watching this program right now, this podcast, and they're going, I have an idea. How do I get somebody to look at this idea, or pitch it, or give me some money for it? What grants are available, or how did they find out?
The first thing you do is put your idea down on paper
Yeah.
and then forget about it. Okay? What you do is you then next go and research the market. You've got your idea, it's there. Now go find out what everybody else is doing. Find out anything similar, does the same thing, achieves the same result, does it differently. Find out who they're selling to, what price they're paying. Work out what, if somebody's selling something for a tenner, it probably costs £2. You think, okay, £2. Is that enough for me to make this thing?
Hmm.
Sometimes people come up with an idea, it's so over engineered, it's so perfect, but that's not what people want.
Hmm.
For example, you you can't see this, but I've got blue shoes on. You've got tan shoes on. Um, if you only make a particular kind of shoe, and you think the only color to have it in is tan, lovely brown leather shoe, and you do all your engineering, all your procurement, all your purchasing, and you make these 6 versions in that color, then you take it to the customer and says, you know, I love it, but I want it waterproof and I want it in pink. And everybody you meet wants it waterproof and they want it in pink, burgundy, or purple. And you've bought all that stock. Why didn't they tell me before? They didn't tell you because you didn't ask them.
Hmm.
So what you got to do is ask what the customer wants.
Hmm.
And it's basically the idea of finding out what the customer wants. You present them with an idea and you ask them to tell you whether it's any good or what version they want it in, what price point, how they want it delivered. You also need to find out how your product connects with the world. My insulation system needed me to work with a manufacturer, go through an installer who would get accreditation, long chain. This, I made it with a Chinese manufacturer uh, who's been fabulous. I went over to see them a few years ago and I sold it. I sell it through Amazon. Amazon is really complicated beast. Some people do really well, but if anything goes wrong, it can be a mess. So you need to understand how you're going to get your product into somebody's hands.
Hmm.
Sometimes if it's too complicated, you need to find a simpler way. But you've got to do your prototyping. You've got to keep it really simple. Make the minimum product you need to suffice that person's needs. Don't do more than. You can do more in version 3, 4, 6, 10, but you start with simple. And I met lots of entrepreneurs that want to do the finished version, and you haven't got the budget, you haven't got the time, You don't know, so start with the simple one first.
What do you think of these like 3D printers?
I love them. I've got one.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're great for it.
because
Designers,
you can
inventors.
design a little prototype on there or something that you think and have a little version of something. No,
We did all of our stuff on 3D printing.
wow, wow, you're inspiring me now. Um, yeah, so I wanted to ask, how do you keep up to date with like trends and technology?
Don't I don't I don't because it doesn't matter to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, you don't. You are actually in the property business, right?
Yeah,
Property business has been going on for ever.
yeah.
You have to be current, but you have to deliver what the customer needs. So I imagine you're not over decorating your properties. And they're not palaces. They're comfortable, but they're not palaces. So
They're neither derelict, they're neither at the top.
yeah,
It's just it's like a simple formula that works. Four walls, paint it white.
yeah,
Skirting, white it up. Flooring, let's put nice white flooring that I know exactly where to get. It gives it a nice fresh feeling. Single pendant, 4 sockets. Cupboard goes there or bed goes anywhere you can move it around. Simple formula.
yeah,
Tent moves in. If you want a feature wall, you want to color it your paint, that's fine. Just leave it white once you leave.
yeah,
Simple. Is it a formula that if I send a builder, hey, it's that paint, white, roller it. It's a quick fix.
yeah, yeah.
Customers happy, clients happy, quick turnaround. There's a socket broken. It's just a simple white, very durable, soft, click, whatever it's
Yeah.
called. Simple, not is it chrome, is it gold, is it this, and you're overpricing it, and the client doesn't really appreciate it because everybody has different, but just simple, clean works really.
And that's what's more important, knowing what your customer wants. So it's not about me keeping on trend, it's about knowing what my customer wants, knowing what problems are out there, what problems I'm going to have.
Knowing your market also, because if
Completely.
I was in the high end sort of stuff, then it would matter. It's what chandelier am I using? What fireplace? What feature walls?
Yeah,
What grading is this engineered for? Wood? Is it real wood? What's trending? I would get interior design in to say what's the latest thing that this market is looking at. Who are my competitor?
yeah,
It's a totally different market where when you're dealing with your everyday person, they just want a clean house to live in.
absolutely.
So you're just you're working towards what your customer wants,
Yeah.
really. That is your market.
And if we look at what watches we're wearing, you're watching a watch that's quite an old design,
Yeah,
and so am I. But they're classics,
yeah.
and we've got them. Do I care whether it's in fashion or not?
No,
Okay,
it's what you like.
it's what I like. It's
Mhm,
what I'm good with. But I think we still stay current.
mhm. Got a quick couple of fire questions because I'm mindful of time. Um, do you think AI and technology is rapidly changing the market?
I was I have to write blogs, and I'm terrible at getting around to doing them. But I use Chat GPT, and it's fabulous.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. But you know what will happen is some people will lose their job, but there'll be other jobs. So if that's a threat to you, you better figure out how to use it and make that your job.
it's true because my dad used to be a bus conductor, and I saw one of these old buses go through Romford, and it's where the pole was, and you just jump on. Um, and you just think every bus had a bus conductor,
Yeah,
everybody who got on, but then it got replaced by the oysters, did, and that's it, or you pay the driver. Imagine how many jobs went at that stage. It's been happening throughout time,
absolutely it
and
has.
we've had to evolve, but it creates people jobs in other places in head offices.
Well, there are 5 new autonomous buses in Scotland
Oh
going
wow,
across the Fife Bridge, but they've still got 2 people on there.
wow.
While they figure out, if it's going to work and
Yes.
holding it. So
Oh, it will work. It will work. They'll always find a way. They've even finding out how to make self-drive cars, which also like, do you know, like you fly a drone with the
yeah,
camera? Well, they've made a car like that as well. So a person can just exactly
wow,
like you're flying a drone. You just drive yourself up, and it goes up like that, and the propellers are going, and these are you know
flying cars.
flying cars, basically,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly what we
absolutely.
thought was going to happen when we watched Demolition Man. We thought by this age that we'd be doing that. Um, how do you bring inventions alive?
You've got to firstly protect your invention and then tell the world
How do you collaborate with engineers or investors?
with humility. Just understand that they know better than you, but they're not you. What you bring to the table is different. What they bring to the table is different. So be open and honest and ask for help.
I like that because once I had this client come into the bank, and I looked at his account and went, "What 3.000.000? That's £3 million. I've never even seen that number on us.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it, but not on someone's account. It looks funny when you see 50,000, 100,000. You see something in the million. It
Wow.
just looks something different." And I went running across to the other office, and it was a gentleman, Jim Smith. He came on the very first podcast for me. He did. Um, and I went, "Jim, what am I going to do? I'm only 22 years old and I'm supposed to be advising this guy what to do with this money." And he goes, "Put a cuppa on, put a cup of tea on." That's right. Now we got our rosy leaf, we're having it. And he's like, "Okay, remember one thing. He knows how to make money. He doesn't know what to do with it. You know what to do with this money because you've been trained and you've done all these courses and all of this training. Don't be afraid
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
this guy. You've got this is why he's come to see you.
Yeah.
So get yourself calm. Let me know how it went, because everything's going to be all right."
Yeah.
And it's just had to say that. And it's
Amazing.
exactly what you're saying is when you went into a room, although these people can invest in you, etc., you're bringing something for them to also invest in as well. So you need each other as much as each other.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how did that go, by the way?
Yeah, it went really well. I got him a mortgage signed up. Like there was, even though he had money there, we actually worked more on his lending side.
Wow.
Actually, so rich people also need to borrow because that's how they keep getting richer.
Yeah.
They know how to refinance certain other properties or how to leverage debt so they don't have to pay tax on it. And this was actually for a different purchase that he said he wanted to look for. But
Amazing.
a part of that portion, we maxed out some tax free and some instant savings and some long term savings. But a big portion of that money was on a project outside of property that he was going to be investing in, and these were just some proceeds. So it went really well. Um, how do you carry out a assessment? So how are you on the risk spectrum? Because when I listen to some of the stuff that you've been saying, I'm like, that is full risk. Like
Yeah.
you've just put yourself in a position where you have to fight. And if it doesn't work, it could be, you could fall back. Like how do you see yourself on that spectrum and how do you manage that?
I do it badly, but better now. I use my own model for risk management and in trusting people. So I do the basics. I do the basics. I do the checks. I'm willing to walk away. I'm willing to say no, and I'm willing to people to say no to me. So, if I'm going to work with somebody who wants me to raise some money for them, I'll put my fees forward. And if they don't want to pay me my fees, I'm fine with it. No problem at all. Because if they don't pay me that, I'm going to go off and do something that will. So it's either you pay me to do this to help you, or I'll do it myself. And I'm very content now to work for myself.
What is your why?
You know what? I think we're here on this planet to do some good in the world, or more than us. And that's what I want to do. I want to do some good in the world for more than me and more than my family.
What does success mean to you?
I think you've got to enjoy the steps. People say, when I get there, I'm going to be really happy. I'm enjoying the steps there. So lots of little successes are the success. And I can look back and think, wow, that was dangerous. That was horrible. But that was fabulous as well.
Mhm.
I mean, I've been to some wonderful places. I met some wonderful people. Some things didn't work out, but other things were fabulous.
Nice. And what is the next thing you want to sort of accomplish? Like, what's your next steps, your next goals?
In my business life, Simbrix is absolutely going to be fabulous. It's going to be. It was featured on this morning. in January
Amazing.
as a top 10 toy for this year.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'm supporting character and everything they do, and enthusiastically going to be a cheerleader. For my business, I'd like to do some more speaking. I will coach a few more people, but I need to buy a couple of companies.
What
Uh,
sort of companies intrigue you?
I'm really interested in manufacturing companies that make stuff in this country because we don't do enough manufacturing here. But I believe in the value of manufacturing, believe in that as a career step for young people. And I believe as a country, we need to make things that we sell and share with the rest of the world.
What do you think of Dragon's Den?
Dragon's Den is an interesting program, and I'm working on my competitor towards it. I've got my own idea on a better program for entrepreneurs than Dragon's Den. It's great to watch, but you know what? I feel that those dragons are just competing with themselves to say the craziest thing to get themselves on camera. And I think entrepreneurs that are on there, they get roasted. Why? They've already had a tough life. They've already strived. Why are you roasting them?
It's good TV, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
what they're
but
looking at.
yes, it
That's why
does.
people want to watch it. And there's another one called Shark Tank, is it?
Yeah, it's a similar thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Indian version of Shark Tank is fabulous.
Yeah.
Very supportive, very kind, very helpful. I haven't seen the US version, but there's not enough business TV.
Hmm.
If you're a cook, you can watch cook programs 24 hours. But what about business people?
What inspires you?
People inspire me that are doing stuff for the world, that are making a difference in the world. I mean, we've got a new king. I worked for as a volunteer for the Princess Trust, seeing the amazing things they do. I think he's going to be a great king. I don't know what's going to happen. Seeing people that serve inspires me.
And how do you see failure? Because you failed loads of times.
Yeah, I have.
How do you defy that?
The first time anybody said it, such eloquence. Thank you. It's only a failure if I didn't learn anything from it. So I'm working hard at learning from my failures.
Nice. Amazing. Brilliant. Well, look, just wanted to ask, do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, man. Look, you're still really young, right? I know you want to build some schools.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's fabulous. When are you going to start?
I'm going to start as soon as I can get some sort of cash flow sort of flowing through anything. At the moment, I believe I'm just working on my brand and showing people Sean Land is here.
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm working on a small little series where we're showing people how to do certain things, like, and I'm doing it, co-hosting it with a female as well. So I don't think there's a lot of male and females like working together,
Great.
we're utilizing our skills. Like I'm showing you how to open a corner shop, what markups, margins, how to go to cash and carry, how we look at it, how it all works. We've just been recording that up. She teaching me a little bit about cooking and how to make a quick meal in an hour, because certain times only females do it in a relationship. What do you do it when the woman falls ill? Can you step in and just help out? She's going to teach me how to change a tire because she's a strong sort of like
Wow.
minded woman, and she never had a father figure present, so she was built to be a strong woman. She's got 4 parts, I've got 4 parts, and hopefully we've got that to maybe show a council to say, look, this is on YouTube, we've made this just for the fun of it.
Yep.
Maybe have a little look at this and we can build on top of this. Maybe you can give us some funding to make more of these series up. And then, hopefully to bring some money in for us to go and sort of, well, me to go and do my part of the journey rather than use this like money myself, being selfish, because I have a lot. I'd rather just fund it to go and use that budget to then to build a school, show people what we're doing, so people look at it and see that's exactly what you are doing,
Yeah.
and then it will then snowball that effect. So I just need to look at ways to generate some sort of noise, because this is a new field to me. Also, I've been working on some little bit on some courses,
Yeah.
which I believe is very helpful, with some free spreadsheets and bonus things in there that it just totally outweighs the cost. And that could also be another channel where other people are charging like 10 times the price. I could go on a lower price point and then also show 'em where that money's
Yeah.
going as well. And not that I need to show people where that money's going, because I'll be providing the
Yeah.
right service and knowledge for the people. But I would like to surprise them to say, look, this is what I have actually done. And I think that will entice other people to look and go, do you know what? I want to invest in this guy or sponsor, but maybe you could even give me some guidance on that.
Well, you know what? I want to set you a challenge. My challenge to you is don't wait to build your schools. Start on the plan while you are building your other business. Do it as your side hustle that makes a difference in the world, because it'll take longer than you expect,
Mhm.
but I guarantee you it will give you more rewards than anything you've ever done in your life.
Got two friends, one in Nigeria, one in Ghana. They're based over here, but they've got family over there. And they've told me already, as soon as you're ready, we can connect you with the right people to make it sort of happen. So yeah, I mean, this is only a 12 months in the thinking of where it started, but I think we're already reaching social media quite far. And we're rapidly growing, and we're collaborating with the right people. So I know everything that I say and I want to do, I end up doing it some way, shape, or form or
Yeah,
another. And if that means this plan takes me 30 years, then I will do it by the 30 years. But if it means, 30 months, we'll get there in
yeah,
30 months. Do
definitely.
you know what I mean? As long as you're putting the right ingredients in, that pot is stewing right now. We'll get there to the end.
Amazing.
Yes. But thank you for that question. It's lovely. And thank you for coming on the podcast. So if you just look straight into your camera and just let people know how they can follow you.
Sean, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm on LinkedIn, Assim Ishaque. You can find me on Instagram, Assim Bricks, ASIMBRIX. And that's pretty much how you get hold of me. Uh, I'm pretty simple and straightforward. But thank you for letting me be here, listen to you, talk about some of what you're doing, and allow me the space to just think about it myself.
Brilliant. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Not every guest is a massive celebrity on Instagram, but sometimes they bring even more value in terms of the real things that we need to know. Today, we learned about inventions, we learned how to get ahead, we learned how to speak, how to overcome, and it's okay to share some of your failures. And that will be some of the things that will make you different. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this with someone who would benefit, your family member, or one of your friends struggling, because this could totally change their destiny and where they're going in the future. So I hope you enjoyed it, and join us on the next one. Peace.
Fab, you're awesome.